comedian, David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I'm back in Sydney. It's good to be home. Anyway, today I'm going to read the review I got for my Perth festival show. I find it very amusing. So the author of the review is Sam C, and they actually came to the first show in Perth. Now, it's a review of my show, but it is really emblematic of my entire life. So I'll read it out to you. In our lives, there will be a series of defining moments that will change the trajectory of the path we're currently on. For David Boyle, one of those moments came in the form of a big night out with some serious consequences, which subsequently led him to the title of his fringe show. I'm quitting alcohol. I think what they're referencing there is the long boring story I told on that first night to open with about me getting arrested at Perth Fringe 7 years prior. But technically, that's not the reason I named the show I'm Quitting Alcohol. I named it that because I was too lazy to rename the show and get new photos and posters printed. So I just sent Catherine the logo to my podcast. So I'm quitting alcohol. And according to his podcast, he is currently 5 years and 261 days into his sober existence. In brackets. From alcohol. Thank you for pointing that out. Prior to my attendance at the show, I had believed this show would offer some insights, in a humorful way, into the struggles of what life might look like once you quit alcohol. However, that was only a mere fraction of the show before it quickly devolved into anecdotes from Boyle's life that had very little to do with sobriety. Does it sound like the podcast? She's nailed the podcast as well. Or he, whoever Sam is. To start the show off, Irish comedian Mark O'Keefe, go see his show, Full Blown Irish, did a little preset to warm up the crowd, even though the Perth summer was doing a pretty good job of that already. It was fucking hot in there. It was 40 degrees that day. As O'Keefe leaves the stage and the show moves past its introduction to the title, you'll find yourself become more familiar with Boyle's history, from his colourful friends with their rather unique names to his family life, where you'll find out exactly what his in-laws think about him. Boyle is no stranger to the Fringe Festival and comedy veteran that toured in several countries with great source material from his life to draw from, which made it a bit underwhelming that there were moments the show felt rather flat and the jokes didn't quite land. Often at times you were left wondering if that was the whole the whole bit. Surely there's more. Perhaps it was the heat. Perhaps it was the triple jet lag. Perhaps he needed a show or two to warm up into his full potential. Or maybe it was the fact that he did not prepare for this, as confessed on his podcast from his own review of how the show went last night the following morning. Whatever it might be, it has potential. And I hope you do catch the show. And I hope if you do catch the show, it lives up to that potential. Now, for starters, that sounds like every single fucking school report card I ever got from like grade fucking 1 until year 12. Basically, if he tried a little bit harder, it would be good. That's it. That's what the review says. If he applied himself and listened in class, he would be a straight A student. Now, here's the problem with me, and this has been a problem with me for my whole entire life, and it's probably the biggest hurdle I have to face in my life. Some people would read that review and think to themselves, I'll show them, I'll fucking work a little bit harder, I'll apply myself, I'll fix a few things, I'll get out there, I'll do it, and I'll turn that 3-star into a 5-star. I'm going to fucking show them what I'm made of. Whereas me, I read that review and I'm like, I got a 3-star for that? I literally did nothing. I did nothing. I hadn't done that fucking show for a year. I didn't prepare at all. I riffed it off the top of my head. It was a 40-degree day. The room was steaming. The lights were on. It was chaos. It was my first show in Perth in 7 years. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I hadn't gigged in a few weeks. Everything was against me, and I still got 3 stars. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this is what I think to myself. I read that, and I'm like, I can do absolutely fucking nothing and still get 3 stars. I can do absolutely the bare minimum that not even the bare minimum, below the bare minimum, and still be an absolute beacon of mediocrity. And do you know what that signals to me? It's like, well, if you did try a little bit harder, then it's pretty easy to turn the 4 into a 5, isn't it? I mean, I only need to go from nothing to something. But why would you do something when you're getting away with nothing? That's my problem. And that's been my problem my whole entire fucking life. Why would you do something when you're getting away with nothing? Like, I got away with it at school. I got away with it in sports. I've been getting away with it in comedy, even though, like, to be fair, if the reviewer came to the last show, it would have been more than 3 stars. It was fucking humming by the end. But that doesn't change the fact that the reviewer came to the first show and I wasn't ready and the show wasn't ready. I could have been ready. I could have been as sharp as I was on the 8th show as I was on the first show if I just fucking did some gigs. Like, it would have been easy. I could have been, even if I just sat in the room and went over my material once or twice. Like I said, if instead of nothing, I chose something. That's my biggest fucking problem in life. I can coast with absolutely no effort, get away with it, but it gets you nowhere. That's the fucking problem. It gets you absolutely fucking nowhere. And so that's the next thing I need to tackle. I need to find out a way to get motivated enough to go from someone that coasts and does nothing to someone that does something. For me, that's going to be a very difficult thing to overcome because it's so ingrained in me. It's been ingrained in me since I remember when I was like fucking grade 1 or 2, just coasting, always doing the absolute bare minimum, even less than the bare minimum most of the times. No, literally nothing most of the times. Literally. Not figuratively, literally. Anyway, I need to go. I need to sit down. I need to read that review a few more times. I need to look in the mirror. I need to go, where are we going? What are we doing? Are we going to move forward from here? Or are we going to just keep coasting at the bare minimum or nothing? And these are the questions you should really be working on in your mid-20s and not at 40. You know what I mean? But I'm a slow learner, like it says in the review, and people just get to things in the time it takes them to get to. It took me a long time to quit alcohol to come to that realization. I managed to do that. This one's going to be tougher. Overcoming this is going to be tougher than alcohol. Anyway, I'm going to fucking kick back. I'm going to have a ponder about that tomorrow. But that'll do for now, and I'll see you the fuck later.